Welcome to Plant-Based on Fire, the podcast that ignites your passion for plant-based businesses. Real Men Eat Plants is proud to host this show, where we shine a spotlight on the latest and greatest plant-based companies making waves in the industry. From startups to established brands, we'll explore what sets these businesses apart, what challenges they've faced, and what their vision for a more sustainable and ethical food future looks like. So if you're hungry for some fresh insights, inspiring stories, and a healthy dose of entrepreneurial spirit, then join us on Plant-Based on Fire, brought to you by Real Men Eat Plants.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Plant-Based on Fire, where we talk about plant-based businesses and their inspiring stories to thrive in the industry. I am your host, Bryan, and joining us today is Anthony Masiello. He is the co-founder and CEO of Love Life Telehealth, a national lifestyle telemedicine service focused on providing access to medical services centered on the prevention and reversal of disease and optimizing wellness. He utilizes a lifestyle medicine and whole food plant-based nutrition. So welcome to the show, Anthony.
Thanks, Bryan. Yeah, it's really great to be here. Thanks.
It is so great to catch up with you again. I know it's been probably a little over a year since the last time we spoke, and you've been on a couple of our other podcasts. So it's great to have you on here and really talk about Love Life Telehealth. So give us a little background on you and your journey and what brought you to such an amazing telemedicine company.
Yeah. My journey starts off because I was denied a 20-year term life insurance policy at age 33 when my wife was pregnant. And that wasn't the way I wanted, that wasn't the news I wanted to receive. And it really wasn't the way I wanted to live, and certainly wasn't the way I wanted to start a family. So I was super determined. The reasons I was denied was because I was morbidly obese. I was on medication for high blood pressure. I had high cholesterol. I had just been diagnosed with sleep apnea. I got frequent migraine headaches. I had eczema on my fingers. You know, I weighed 360 pounds, 54-inch waist. And I guess all of these things added up, didn't give me a good, outlook for what my life was going to be like. So just to speed through it, I found Dr. Joel Fuhrman's book, Eat to Live. I bought it. I did exactly what it said. I lost a total of 160 pounds in just 20 months. And even more important than losing the weight was I got healthy. All of those medical concerns and conditions disappeared. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, even more valuable than that is I had so much energy. I felt better than I ever imagined I could feel. And really ended up, raising my kids. They're 17 and 19 now. My first wasn't even born when I started this. Thank you.
Yeah.
And just had the most wonderful experience raising a family and lived a quality of life that I honestly couldn't have imagined. I grew up obese, so it's very different, and have just been really committed to trying to figure out how to help other people to do the same for themselves.
Well, thank you so much. I mean, and that dovetailed into the telehealth, right?
Yeah. So all the time while I was getting healthy myself, I was working in pharmaceutical research. And I started to wonder, I was excited about working. My background is computer science. I was very excited to be working in a field that was committed to helping people to, be healthy, get well, get rid of disease, And then as I learned how to take better care of myself without medication and without pharmaceutical intervention, not that those things are always bad, they're very necessary in some cases, but I just started to feel more passionate about helping people to prevent disease or reverse disease rather than treat disease. So I was always looking for opportunities, and I would go to a lot of conferences. I would go to, a lot of immersion weekends, and I would get to share my story sometimes, trying to spark inspiration in others and help them to get started. And I noticed a pattern, and the pattern was that a doctor would be on stage and they would be talking about the science of why, lifestyle medicine works, whatever pillars, and why whole food plant-based nutrition creates an environment inside the body where the body can heal, and all of these things. Then they share case studies, examples like myself, examples like many others, right? Who you've had on shows and things like that. And then they go and they talk about how these people recovered their health and are living these vibrant lives and really thriving now in life. And then they go to Q&A, and someone in the audience raises their hand and they say, "Hello, my name is so-and-so. I also suffer from whatever chronic condition they're suffering from. Where can I find a doctor who can help me?" And there was never really an answer to that question. I mean, there are a few isolated doctors who are around different places. You can sometimes find them. Sometimes they're running, sometimes they work in like Dr. Furman now has a retreat center, but the minimum stay is 30 days, right? So you have to go there for that. We know that Dr. Esselstyn is incredibly generous with his time up at the Cleveland Clinic, and he will do consults with people over the phone. But there's nowhere where someone can go and actually have someone be their doctor to work with them on an ongoing basis. And I was very fortunate to know a lot of incredible physicians, several incredible physicians, who really wanted to practice this kind of medicine. And I also knew a lot of people who wished that their doctor practiced this kind of medicine, right?
Yeah.
So what was missing was where did the people meet? And setting up a local in-person practice is challenging because you've only got this geographic region on where you can draw patients from. You know, unless again we get back into people traveling to see the doctors or something like that. But by telemedicine, even a doctor with a license in one state, they can cover the whole state. And then if a doctor is licensed in multiple states, they might have a patient from New York, and then the next minute, when they go to their next appointment, that patient might be in California or Florida or wherever else if the doctors get a few licenses. And the idea is then there's enough patients out there to then support, a lifestyle medicine practice, really practiced in an ideal way. And what I mean by that is when doctors are practicing lifestyle medicine today inside of a conventional practice, they still might not have enough time with the patients. They still might not have the resources and other things available to be able to really provide, everything that a patient needs. So now with Love Life Telehealth being a dedicated lifestyle medicine practice, the shortest appointment is 30 minutes. It's a full 30 minutes with the doctor. And the other appointment like we have is a full hour. And the doctors would always prefer, especially a first appointment, be 1 hour. But we don't want to keep that as a barrier, because so if a patient only is willing to do a 30-minute appointment or is only able to do a 30-minute appointment, the doctors work really hard to help them in that period of time. And that's still probably 5 or 6 times longer than they would spend with a conventional physician working in a conventional practice.
It's such an amazing journey you've been on. I mean, I think we've paralleled a little bit here. I have my background in programming as well, and I was the CTO at MD Live Telemedicine way back when. And you see people calling in and asking questions, and they should be going and seeing their real doctor. Do you have a couple success stories from your practice so far?
Yeah, we have a lot, and I don't have them off the top of my head other than this. There's a guy, Bob Madison, and I think he's on the front page of our website. Okay. And, we have many success stories. He's a really nice one. He was very generous, and he shared a couple pictures, before and after pictures of himself. But what we find, and this is a common pattern, whether they end up, sharing their full stories or just sharing messages with us or the doctor is giving us updates, is that people come, then they get better, they heal, and then they feel even better than ever, and they start doing things that they never imagined that they would do. Like they start going for these long walks. There's one person in Washington State who had chest pains and other things. He wasn't at risk of having a heart attack in the moment, but whenever he would exercise, he would have pain. And so he was fully checked out, locally in person by cardiologists. All of the doctors at Love Life Telehealth practice incredibly responsible medicine. So they're not here to take chances or do anything that's kind of, outside of what, how medicine should be practiced. But this person was type 2 diabetic, and that was his primary concern. So over a period of time and a number of visits, his doctor reversed his diabetes. And then he lives 8 miles from the nearest town. And he started every Wednesday morning now, he walks into town. So he walks
incredible.
8 miles to go do his shopping. And he never would have imagined doing that. I mean, he used to be uncomfortable walking up one flight of stairs.
Yeah.
He walks into town, he does his shopping, and then his wife comes and picks him up, and then they drive home with, whatever groceries and stuff that they purchased that day. But he really wants that time to go walk, and to walk 8 miles is a few hours, right? Probably 2.5 hours, especially up in the mountains in Washington State. I would imagine that that it's like work. And like, who does that stuff, right? Like, you have to feel pretty incredible to like to purposefully want to do these kinds of things, and that's just a pattern. It's just consistent that's I mean, I've experienced that. I know you've probably experienced that.
Yeah,
and that's what happens.
It's so, like, you talked about that like, I don't know, that heaviness is gone, or that clarity of mind, like those little things. Like, I try to equate that to other things in my life to explain it to people that don't get it yet. And it's like, it's almost like try to explain to somebody what having kids is like when they don't have kids. Like, you don't really understand it until you have kids, and then you're just like, oh, now I get it. And it's something so similar. Like, you'll see the physical changes, but then after you've been doing it for a little while, you'll see these other little nuances of it. I guess, like, even before I joined MD Live, I was working on an emergency department software, and I got the benefits of speaking to, like, many emergency room doctors, and I just get to chat with them, and I ask them, like, what do you think is the most important thing you can do to avoid, like, going to the emergency room? And they said, well, it's really simple. Eat well and exercise, and you'll stay out of the emergency room unless you do something stupid. So don't do something stupid as well. But that resonated with me. And then you watch, something like Forks Over Knives or Game Changers or something, and then it just, I don't know, it clicked for me, and that's what started me on my journey. And you've just had such an amazing journey. But I want to bring it back. Like, I know we're in this post-pandemic world, and while I think a good majority of Americans have actually had a telemedicine visit at this point, it's still surprising to me. You and I have been in telemedicine for years now, that some people haven't. So can you just walk us through, like, what does a telemedicine journey look like? I mean, we go to your website. What is the website? How do we get started? And what does a typical visit look like?
Yeah, and it's hard and it's confusing because telemedicine is still pretty broad. Like, there isn't one definition. So I'm going to tell you exactly how telemedicine works at Love Life Telehealth. Yeah. So the website is love.life/telehealth. And if you just end up going to love.life, there's no .com, it's love.life. Then there's a button on the front that you can get to telehealth. And we can talk about why it's love.life/telehealth when we get a little bit later and actually talk about the business behind it. But you go to the website, you choose a doctor. So the first thing you have to do is you have to choose a doctor who is licensed to practice medicine in the state where you are, where the patient is at the time of the appointment. And that's how the appointment is a legal, fully licensed medical appointment. And if you think about it, I mean, it doesn't really make sense by telemedicine, over the computer, because why does it matter where you're sitting, right?
Right.
But how it works is it's exactly like an in-person doctor's office. For example, a hospital. If I was in Florida and I hurt myself and I went into a hospital, then that doctor who helps me is licensed to practice in Florida, even though I live in New Jersey, right? It doesn't matter where I live. It matters where I am. So if I was in New York City, same thing, a doctor licensed in New York. So it's the state that you're in at the moment is giving this physician authority to practice medicine. So the first thing you have to do is you have to look, and there's a nice selector. You just pick your state and all the doctors pop up. We have 10 total doctors. They are combined. They're licensed to see patients in all 50 states. So you will find one. You go there, you pick your state, you see the doctors, you can click on their links to learn more about them. You can read their bio, you can watch a little intro video, you can hear about why they are so passionate themselves about practicing lifestyle medicine. Many of them have their own stories where they were sick and they healed. So you pick your doctor, and then you just choose if you want a 30 or 60 minute appointment, and then you pick a time. You get to see the calendar. You pick a day and time that works well for you, that the doctor is available, and that's it. Then you have your appointment.
Very cool.
And what we do with what these doctors do at Love Life Telehealth is they're trying to replicate the in-person experience as closely as possible. And what we mean by that, it's audio video. So you're going to see and speak with your doctor in real time, just like we do on Zoom, all the time. And they can share screen to go over the lab work. They can do all of those things together. The only thing that they can't do, obviously, they can't touch you, and they can't take a very close look, like in your ear or down your throat, those kinds of things. But the conditions that they're treating don't require that. They're helping patients with chronic disease. They're helping people, with obesity. They're helping people who aren't feeling well, maybe autoimmune conditions. They help people with a wide variety. But the patients or the conditions that they can't treat, like, are a suspected infection. Like, this is not the place to go if you have an inspection. If you suspect that you have an infection and you might need an antibiotic, you need to go see someone locally who can properly diagnose that. But all of these lifestyle-related conditions are wonderful because it involves the counseling. If a patient needs labs, needs blood work or some kind of other lab tests, we have national accounts with both Quest and LabCorp. So it's very easy to find a lab very near you. The doctor submits the order. You just go into the lab. They have your order there. They process your samples. You go home. The results get sent right back to the doctor, and then you schedule a follow-up to go over the results. If you do require prescription medication, and hopefully it's because the doctor is maybe lowering your dose of medication or something like that. But if you require prescription, they will electronically get sent right into your local pharmacy. They'll probably ask you, which pharmacy do you use? You can say whatever pharmacy, and then they'll just confirm the street address with you. And then they send in your script. And usually by the time you end the visit, get in your car, drive to the pharmacy, it's already there in a bag waiting for you. So it's really the full medical experience. Before your appointment, we have a very extensive intake form because it asks all about medical history. It asks about current conditions. And then it deviates from what you would get at like a conventional doctor, because then it asks you about your personal health and wellness goals. And then it asks you all kinds of lifestyle. There's a full lifestyle questionnaire. So what does a typical day of eating look like? How many hours of sleep are you getting at night? How are you feeling, engaged and like you have a strong purpose in life? Do you have a strong social network where you have people who care about you and people that you care about? So they ask you all these questions. They review all of that before they ever see you. So by the time you connect for your appointment, the doctor kind of knows you. They already know your goal. So then they can really spend that half hour digging in with you. And, they're going to confirm things, of course. They're going to talk about, they're going to ask you follow-up questions. And then you're going to get to spend plenty of time developing like a lifestyle plan, like a lifestyle treatment plan. And that treatment plan would involve changes that every person can make, to get a better night's sleep, to better manage stress, to optimize their nutrition, and to optimize everything in a way that's specific, aligned with that person's medical history, their medical conditions if they have any, and also structured to help them to achieve their own personal health and wellness goals.
Amazing. Yeah. And it's just, I don't know, I've been an advocate for telemedicine for years, obviously, but it is just so much easier than going and driving someplace through the traffic, sitting in the parking lot, sitting in the waiting room, sitting in the office, waiting for the doctor to come in. You just get to hang out at home.
You said waiting a couple of times there.
Wait. Yeah, exactly.
And we've done some questionnaires, and I even read a New York Times article that it's one of the people's favorite things about telemedicine is that the appointments start and end on time. And, because, of course, we always sit in the waiting room until the doctor's ready. And then we go into the exam room, and then we sit there and we wait some more. And then we see them for a flash. And then they're like, okay, well, you can get dressed and go home. And then it's like, wait, what just happened?
Yeah.
At least with telemedicine, the appointments start on time. They end on time. We have a staff desk that you can call the number on the website at any time. And we have someone who can help. If patients are having any difficulties with their patient portal, their questionnaires, figuring out how to connect to their appointment, we fully support them the whole way.
That is amazing. Yeah, I think there's going to be a paradigm shift where you're not going to be allowed to see a doctor in person unless you've had a telemedicine visit. That's what I predict for the future. You have
Wow.
to go through that first, and then they'll let you see a doctor in person for whatever
Yeah.
you're doing. So I hope
I
that's
think
the
they should
future
make
we're
them have
heading
an
towards.
appointment at Love Life Telehealth first.
There you go. Let's nail it. So I've got like a twofold kind of question. I mean, obviously we're both, strongly plant-based, whole food, plant-based. It's changed
Yes.
both of our lives on that front. So talk to us about that kind of connection with how you practice the telemedicine. I know you've touched on it a little bit. And then furthermore, tell us more about the Love Life brand and the connection to Whole Foods and some of the other cool stuff you have going on with the bigger brand as part of the
Yeah.
telehealth thing.
Yeah, so first I do want to just explain and confirm for everyone. So I'm not a doctor myself. I mentioned before my background is computer science, and I've happened to work in healthcare for 25 years. But I'm not practicing medicine. I'm not giving anyone medical advice. But I absolutely love my job. I love my role of helping patients to get connected with these incredible doctors who really I call them doctors, I call them healers, right? They
Yeah.
help people to achieve all these things that you and I are trying to describe, but we can't because there aren't words to really articulate it. But so that's my role. I just want to clarify that for anyone
Yeah,
who's
thank you.
listening. So, yep, you're welcome. But we have 10 incredible physicians, and they're located all across the country. And wait, what was the other side? What was the other part of your question?
I mean, they're located all over but like I go into my local doctor and they've told me they don't support the plant-based lifestyle. So
Yes, that's
these
right.
10 doctors are plant-based physicians and are gonna help evaluate you and make those recommendations to a degree.
Exactly. So when we started the company, it was called Plant-Based Telehealth. And the reason why is because the doctors and myself, we've had such incredible results and quality of life improvement by going whole food plant-based.
Yeah.
We want to be there for everyone who is plant-based because we want everyone who is plant-based, whole food plant-based, vegan, even vegetarian. We want everyone to have a doctor who truly understands their lifestyle.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times people read a book or they watch some YouTube videos or they'll listen to a couple of your podcast episodes and they'll start making lifestyle changes and they'll go to their doctor and the doctors say things like, oh, that's not going to work. Or, oh, you're not going to be able to stick with that. Or, oh, where are you going to get your protein? Or, oh, well, eventually your bones are going to get weak because you're not getting enough calcium. So these are all myths, but these are things that the conventional medical system still hasn't gotten over. Right.
Yeah.
So number one, you come to Love Life Telehealth, you get a doctor who fully understands your lifestyle and is there purposefully to help you to achieve your goals. And whether your goals are to try to, reduce or get off medications, or if you're newly diagnosed diabetic, maybe your goal is to hopefully never go on medications to begin with. So those are the things that they help with. And it's interesting. We thought we were going to get a lot of patients who were eating beer and hamburgers and pizza and French fries, and the doctors could say, "Hey, eat more vegetables," and they would go home. They would start eating more vegetables, and they would come back and say, "Doc, you're amazing. I'm cured."
Yeah,
Right? I mean,
yeah.
because really, that's where we can make a tremendous impact. And when I say we, the whole entire movement can make a tremendous impact on people's health. But what we really got, or what these doctors really got, was people who already went whole food plant-based and it still didn't quite work for them. So the doctors have become incredible at, I call them like physician scientists, scientists, healers. I'm going to have a lot of names to describe these incredible people that I get to work with. But they learn how to identify food sensitivities. They learn how to tweak nuances to really help to optimize your ability to heal and to really give you the best chance ever. It does not mean that everyone's going to fully get off medication. It does not mean that everyone's going to, fully get rid of their disease. It unfortunately, the body doesn't work like that. We're not trying to make those kinds of promises. But what they will do is they will help every single person to be the best version of themselves. And at the core, we know that for a lot of people, that involves eating a lot more vegetables, eating a lot more fruit, avoiding all of the processed food that you can avoid, and probably, maybe avoiding dairy, at least minimizing dairy, and minimize their intake of meat. We are happy to have changed our name, and it's not because the mission of being plant-based or promoting whole food plant-based nutrition has changed, but what we do like, so first of all, the name is Love Life Telehealth, and the idea is that we don't want to just help people to live life or to live life longer. We want to really help people to love life. We want people to be excited about the way they live. So that's where the name comes from. We want to help people to love life. And so
where's the connection into Whole Foods from what I read?
Okay. So what happened was we started as plant-based telehealth. And then we had, we got a little bit of traction. The doctors started really healing patients. And then we learned that there were other people out here. Well, we knew that there were other people out here who were on a mission. We started collaborating with a lot of people, people like Mastering Diabetes. They would love for all of their clients to come and have a doctor here just so they avoid that confusion that we talked about. Chef AJ's been a big supporter. Many in the field have been big supporters. So, early on, we learned that John Mackey, who is the founder or co-founder and CEO of Whole Foods, he was starting another project. At the time, it was a bit of a side project, but he has since resigned from Whole Foods now. He's no longer at all associated or employed with Whole Foods, and he's now on a mission to change the way healthcare is practiced. And in some degree, it's like changing the way he changed the grocery store experience, right? He elevated it. He put in incredible standards for what ingredients they wouldn't allow into the store, and really promoting healthy living, healthy life. John himself has been whole food plant-based for a long time. He reaps the benefits every day. He feels exactly as the way you and I do, and we're talking about.
That's awesome.
He really wants to help more people to do the same. So this is his is his follow-up career. He's no longer at Whole Foods as of last August, and now he's the CEO of this company, Love Life. And anyway, since our world is kind of small, they learned what we were doing, and he was interested in acquiring us. So he acquired the company. It happened last year, but we just announced it a few months ago. And as part of that announcement, we rebranded ourselves from Plant-Based Telehealth to Love Life Telehealth, with the idea of aligning with what's going to be the bigger Love Life brand, but also to be more inclusive, so that people who are on the fence or not sure if they want, do I really want to go be told I can't eat this or that? The doctors don't really do that. They want to help you to do what you want to do. So just helping people to love life is, a little more inclusive. It might not turn off people.
Exactly. But even if you don't go whole food plant-based 100%, if we can just convince you to eat a lot more vegetables, it's better for everything. So
and cut out the processed foods,
exactly.
And that's it. And the doctors and everyone, will tell you that, if this is what you want to achieve, let's get you towards that. And then it's up to the patient. I mean, no one can be with a patient or with a friend or a client, 24 hours a day to force them to do anything. It's really helping people to do what they want to do for themselves. So we're really excited. We weren't sure. We were a very new company at the time of the acquisition, and interestingly, Love Life was even newer, because we were the first public thing that came out of the Love Life brand. And that was only almost 3 months ago, not quite 3 months ago that we were announced. But since then, we also announced the acquisition of a restaurant in Florida, in Miami, called Love Life Cafe.
I love it.
That acquisition happened a while ago, and that's where the name, came from. And then we opened a new restaurant in Culver City, in Los Angeles, in Culver City, California, called Love Life Nourish. And the restaurants are 100% vegan. There's not a deep fryer in the restaurant. Everything is incredibly healthy and vegan. Everything is vegan and very healthy. And then about 50% of the menu is whole food, plant-based, low salt, low fat, basically healing foods. So it's a wonderful place. You can go in there, you can just order something right off the menu. No matter how strict you're being with your diet, you can go in there, order something off the menu without making any special requests, and it's incredible. Like, I was at the opening about a month ago of the restaurant in Los Angeles, and the food is amazing. The people are incredible who work there. The space is beautiful, and that's just like phase one of what's coming. The idea is to have a combination.
I guess that's what I was going to ask you is how can I help you get one in Charlotte here where I am? But also, give us
New
a
Jersey
sneak peek
too. We need one.
Give us a sneak peek into what's coming next with Love Life and Love Life Telehealth.
Yeah. Well, what's coming, it's all being defined as we go. I mean, there's a very strong strategy behind it, but it's going to incorporate a combination of in-person and online offerings. And, that's where we fit in. We're the online medical. But in person, it's going to be a combination of restaurants, wellness, and also medical. So the idea is to have these centers, that kind of do the full spectrum of everything someone would need to really heal and get well, and also just to feel better. And I realize I just keep using the word heal, but kind of like Game Changers, right? Like, I love that movie because Game Changers was a bunch of people who were doing pretty good, right? Many of them were already Olympic
top of their
level
games.
athletes, right?
Exactly.
And then they started, then they went basically through a lifestyle medicine plan. They changed their nutrition, and they changed things that they were doing with their lifestyle. They didn't take medications. They didn't do that kind of stuff. But then they just got better. So that's going to be a big part of what we want to do. We just want to help people to be the best version of themselves. And we toss around ideas like be a better you. That's what we're doing. So that's what these centers, who are going to be located in different areas around the country, and also the online. We're going to offer as much of that as we can online, so that people everywhere, have access to doctors who can help everybody to be the best version of themselves.
That is just amazing. I am so excited. I hope that I can get you back here in 6 months or a year and continue to check in with you.
Let's do it.
You guys are just doing amazing stuff. I know we've sort of blown past the time that we had kind of set for some of this. That's totally okay. I think you and I could sit here and geek out for hours, honestly, and talk about all the fun ways we could help each other and grow the telehealth stuff. But so I guess let me just try and wrap up and sort of say, like, how can we help, with Plant-Based on Fire and the community that we're building, trying to honestly reach more men and help the stigma around, the manliness in men, like to give up the bacon a little, or at least push it off to the side more, and dig in on that. But how can we as a community help you and Love Life Telehealth?
Yeah. And I love what you're doing. And I love the whole approach, because men are kind of known and almost like glamorized for not taking care of themselves.
Right.
And it's, it's not the coolest thing to do. It's not the most, macho thing to do, if that's even a word anymore. I never hear that, but that's what I think about. Right.
Right.
But I know people like me and you and others who feel exactly the same. But our patient demographic so far at Love Life Telehealth is 75% female. And
women are the doctors of the home.
They are much smarter than we are, because they realize how important it is for them to take care of themselves.
That's right.
I wish more men realize that. So that's why I love what you're doing with Real Men Eat Plants. I love what you're doing with Plant-Based on Fire. So this is all so important, and we need everybody to want to do it, because we don't want the men to say, oh, that's what you're going to eat for dinner, and then give me whatever. Whatever's going to cause heart disease the quickest, like, I'll eat that. It's like, It's kind of really sad and absurd if you really think about it on a level. So the thing that I believe we all need to do is support each other in any way we can, so that we can really make this movement big and strong, right?
Absolutely.
And so that's why I'm thrilled to come on any show that you have, and to also to share this with our audience, so more people know more about you. And we're just thrilled that anyone would, we're thrilled and humbled that anyone would share what we're doing, so that more people can find us and do that.
Absolutely.
And when people see things repeated enough, they start to think maybe it's not such a crazy idea. And I'm just hopeful that anyone out there would, just give it a try, take better care of themselves and, and really try to live a really thriving life.
Thank you, Anthony, for being here and hanging out with us. So hit us one more time. How do we get to the website so we know it?
Yep. Thank you. Yeah, it's love.life/telehealth. Love.life/telehealth. And even if you just end up at love.life, you have a choice, restaurant or telehealth. But you can learn more about both. But then come on over to telehealth and meet the doctors. There's some of the most incredible people. Please watch their intro videos. Yeah. And and consider having an appointment with one. I'm certain that you won't be sorry that you did.
That's right. Well, thank you again, Anthony. That's really all the time we have for this episode of Plant Based on Fire. But thank you so much again, Anthony, for joining us and sharing your insights and experiences with our community. Until next time, everybody, please keep the fire burning.
And that's a wrap for this episode of Plant Based on Fire. We hope you enjoyed learning about the innovative plant-based businesses we featured today and got inspired to support them on their journey. Remember, plant-based eating isn't just a trend. It's a way of life that benefits your health, the environment, and animals. By choosing plant-based foods, you're making a positive impact on the world and helping to create a better and more compassionate future. If you want to join the Real Men Eat Plants community and get even more resources to help you go and stay plant-based, check out our blog, podcasts, and 30-day challenge at realmeneatplants.com. Thank you for tuning in to Plant Based on Fire, brought to you by Real Men Eat Plants. Head over to Apple Podcast and give us a review, and let us know what you think of this episode. Don't forget to tag us at Plant Based on Fire when you share this episode in your preferred social media. Wish to be a guest? We need to know about your plant-based business. Email us at pbof@realmeneatplants.com. We love hearing from our listeners. Thank you to our guests and to you, our listeners, for your support, and see you next time.